The world of cinema often sparks heated debates and discussions, especially when it comes to iconic characters in beloved franchises. Two characters that have recently found themselves at the center of such discussions are Rey from Star Wars and Rachel Zegler's portrayal of Snow White. While both characters belong to different cinematic universes, comparisons have emerged, with some arguing that Rey is worse than Rachel Zegler's Snow White. Let's delve into the reasons behind this perspective and explore the nuances of these controversial opinions. So first, we begin with Rey in Star Wars. Rey, portrayed by Daisy Ridley, is a central character in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Produced as a scavenger with mysterious parentage, Rey undergoes significant character development as she discovers her connection to the Force and becomes a key player in the battle against the First Order. However, Rey's character has been a point of contention among fans, with some criticizing the handling of her backstory and character arc. Detractors argue that her rapid progression in mastering the Force and lightsaber combat lacks the depth and training seen in previous Jedi characters. Spanning 3 films, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens in 2015, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi in 2017, and Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. Rey's character undergoes significant development, contributing to the overarching narrative of the trilogy. Introduced on the desert planet Jakku, Rey begins as a resourceful scavenger making a living by salvaging remnants from the galactic civil war. Her mysterious past and an innate connection to the Force propel her into the larger conflict between the Resistance and the First Order. In The Force Awakens, Rey discovers BB-8, a droid carrying a map to the missing Luke Skywalker. The Last Jedi sees Rey seeking training from Luke Skywalker to comprehend her place in the Force and the galaxy. Interactions with Kylo Ren, a conflicted member of the First Order, introduces complexities and nuances to her character, blurring the lines between the light and dark sides. In The Rise of Skywalker, Rey's lineage is explored, unraveling significant revelations about her parentage. As she grapples with her identity, Rey confronts the resurrected Emperor Palpatine and faces her ultimate destiny. Rey's character arc revolves around themes of self-discovery, resilience, and the internal struggle between the light and dark aspects of the Force. While some viewers appreciated Rey as a strong, independent female protagonist, others criticized certain aspects of her character development, particularly concerning the revelation of her parentage. Rey's inclusion in the Star Wars saga ignited discussions about representation and the evolution of the Force within the narrative. Ultimately, her character plays a crucial role in exploring the Force and contributing to the legacy of the Skywalker saga. Next, we move on to Rachel Zegler's Snow White. In contrast, Rachel Zegler's casting as Snow White in Disney's live-action adaptation has also stirred conversation. Zegler, known for her role in West Side Story, brings a fresh perspective to the classic character. But while the film is yet to be released at the time of writing, discussions about the casting choice and expectations for the portrayal have fueled debates among Disney enthusiasts. Some argue that Zegler's interpretation may bring a modern and empowering twist to the traditional Snow White character, while others express concerns about tampering with the beloved classic. Rachel Zegler is an American actress and singer known for her breakout role as Maria Vasquez in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. Her casting as Snow White in Disney's live-action adaptation was announced, generating significant interest and discussion within the entertainment industry and among Disney fans. Zegler's performance in West Side Story received acclaim, and her casting in the iconic role of Snow White marked a significant moment in her burgeoning career. The live-action adaptation of Snow White is part of Disney's ongoing efforts to reimagine their classic animated films for modern audiences. Similar to previous live-action adaptations like Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin, the new Snow White film aims to bring a fresh perspective to the timeless fairy tale. Given Rachel Zegler's rising star and the popularity of Disney's live-action adaptation, there was anticipation surrounding how the film would reinterpret the classic story and character. Fans and industry observers were eager to see Zegler's take on Snow White and how the filmmakers would blend tradition with innovation. Rachel Zegler, the talented actress who made her on-screen debut in West Side Story, is set to grace the role of Snow White in Disney's live-action adaptation of the iconic animated classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Her casting stirred both excitement and controversy as she brings a fresh perspective to the beloved character. Zegler's Snow White won't be the traditional damsel in distress. In her own words, she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's going to be dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and that her late father told her she could be if she was fearless, brave, fair, and true. This modern twist promises a captivating and empowering portrayal of the princess. Despite rumors suggesting otherwise, Rachel Zegler has confirmed that she is still firmly in the role of Snow White, debunking any notion of her being fired from the film. Movie, co-starring Gal Gadot as the evil queen, is eagerly anticipated and is scheduled for release on March 22, 2024. Criticisms directed at Ray and Rachel Zegler's Snow White share common threads. In both cases, fans have raised concerns about the handling of the character's development and the potential impact on the established narrative. Ray's rapid acquisition of Force abilities without formal training mirrors worries about Zegler's Snow White potentially deviating too far from the source material. Star Wars boasts a rich ensemble of beloved characters that have captured the hearts of fans worldwide. Iconic figures such as Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia from the original trilogy remain enduring favorites. Luke, the farm boy turned Jedi, embodies the hero's journey, while the charismatic and roguish Han Solo adds a touch of swashbuckling charm. Princess Leia, a leader of the Rebel Alliance, is admired for her intelligence and resilience. Rachel Zegler's portrayal of Snow White in Disney's live-action adaptation is highly anticipated, and while the details might be limited, the character of Snow White itself has been a cherished figure since the 1937 animated classic. Success of previous Disney live-action adaptations like Emma Watson's Belle in Beauty and the Beast has heightened expectations for Zegler's take on Snow White, and audiences are curious to witness the blend of tradition and innovation in this classic fairy tale. Now, back to the topic, why Ray is worse than Rachel Zegler's Snow White. Opinions about characters such as Ray from Star Wars and Snow White are subjective and can vary widely among audiences, often rooted in individual perspectives, storytelling preferences, and expectations. One viewpoint held by some critics is that Ray is considered worse than Snow White for several reasons. Firstly, critics argue that Ray's character development in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, particularly her rapid progression in Force abilities without formal training, lacks depth and nuance. This perceived lack of a well-established backstory may contribute to criticisms about the handling of her character arc. In contrast, Snow White's character, originating from a classic fairy tale, is seen as having a more traditional and established background, resonating with audiences who appreciate the familiarity of such narratives. Additionally, controversial story choices in Rey's character arc, especially the revelation about her parentage in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, have led to mixed reactions. Some fans were dissatisfied with the resolution, feeling that it did not meet the expectations built up in earlier films. On the other hand, Snow White's character has a more fixed and consistent narrative, avoiding the potential for such divisive twists. Furthermore, the immense fan expectations within the Star Wars franchise, known for its passionate and dedicated following, may have contributed to heightened scrutiny of Rey's character. Any deviation from fans' expectations could result in disappointment. In contrast, Snow White, being a classic fairy tale character, may not face the same level of scrutiny, as adaptations of traditional tales often come with different expectations and allowances for creative interpretation. Lastly, the impact of the source material plays a role in these perceptions. Rey's character had the challenging task of continuing the Star Wars saga, deeply rooted in fan nostalgia and high expectations. Comparatively, Snow White as a classic fairy tale character may not encounter the same level of scrutiny given the established and fixed nature of her narrative over the years. Comparing Rey from Star Wars to Rachel Zegler's Snow White reveals the complexities of fandom and the expectations associated with iconic characters. While Rey's character has faced criticism for her swift progression, Zegler's Snow White is under scrutiny for the perceived departure from the traditional portrayal. It is essential to approach these discussions with an understanding of the diverse perspectives within the fanbase and the evolving nature of storytelling in cinema. As audiences anticipate the release of Rachel Zegler's Snow White, it remains to be seen how the character will be received and whether it will further fuel the ongoing debate around iconic cinematic figures. Hope you liked watching our video. If you enjoyed watching this video, then click on like and definitely subscribe to our channel. Share your ideas and views in the comment section below.